Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan mumuksoh mukter hedun bhakti sakshat sudergi yova edeshveva thishtatya mushya moksho avidya kalpidat dehabandhad. The first word, Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogad. Shraddha, bhakti. What? What is bhakti? Perhaps you don't know. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Bhakti Shraddheti Vishruta. If you have devotion towards the words of the Guru and the words of the scriptures, that is called Shraddha. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Bhakti Shraddheti Vishruta. If you have devotion towards the words of the Guru and the words of the scriptures, that is called Shraddha. See, if you have some satsang in your life, you have a fondness for good and noble people, this is the greatest resource for you. Don't be a lordless person in this world. Seek shelter under some Mahatma, a good Mahatma. Listen to his words. You can tell him all about you, good as well as bad. That loving care, attention and protection from a Mahatma, Shraddha, Shraddha. That Shraddha is very important. Shraddha bhakti, that attention, kalam nayetha. Everyone's life contains an equal measure of punya and papa. This is what our mythologies say. What? Everyone has got an equal measure of papa and punya. Because of our papa, we have to take burdens and sufferings. Because of our punya, we can have enjoyment and happiness. This papa and punya are of equal measure in every human life. When punya increases, you get born as an angel. When papa is more, you get born in the subhuman kingdom. When they equal, we have human birth. After killing Hiranyakashipu, Narahari took the seat. He sat on the throne, heaving. Everybody was afraid to go near him. Mahalakshmi said, I cannot go. If he is in a normal mood, I can go. Not now. Then finally Brahma said, let us send Prahlada himself, for whose sake this form was born. So Prahlada went there, appeased him, and there ensued a conversation between the two. Then Narahari said, perform all the post-death ceremonies for your father. By your birth, 21 generations earlier and 21 generations later, the whole family, the whole lineage is purified. When somebody from your family becomes a seeker, goes to a Sadguru, and he takes up sannyasa preferably, do you know, for 21 generations earlier, the lineage is purified, later also. Such great effect is there. So don't worry about your father, don't worry. Sit on the throne and rule. Then he said, I don't want it. I am not interested at all. So Narahari had to persuade him to sit, and he finally gave a formula. Such a beautiful formula. I wonder how many people know it. Bhogena punyam, kushalena papam, kalevaram kalajavena hitva. Bhogena punyam. I want you to sit on the throne, because throne is a seat of power, pomp, luxury, comfort and what not. Now this is a result of punya that you have. So enjoy this position and have all the luxuries and comforts, because the king must have it. You cannot ask him to walk anywhere and everywhere. So you undergo the punya phala by having all these enjoyments, regal comforts. And the papa also you exhaust. Mark my words, by what? Kushalena papam. The throne is not an abode of leisure and luxury. It is a seat of burden and austerity. To be seated on the throne means to look after the welfare of all the subjects. Maybe at the dead of night you will have to get up from the bed and rush to a place. Anything can happen. It's not enough if the king has 2 eyes and 1 mind. He must have 1,000 or 10,000 eyes and maybe 1,000,000 hearts and minds to sense what is happening anywhere and everywhere. So ensuring the safety and welfare of the subjects is a great burden. It's a great burden. So exhaust the papa by doing that. And exhaust and terminate the punya by enjoying the regal comforts. Kalevaram kalajavena hitva. And you wear and tear the body by undergoing the passage of time. Are you following me? देख लीजिए ना क्या पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है इसमें. कलेवरम बॉडी कालजवेन हित्वा. You are born at one time. Maybe you will live for 80 years or 100 years. The 100 years are a measure of time. So by undergoing this measure of time, terminate your body. Kirtim vishuddham suraloka geetam. By the time, even the denizens of heavens will start praising your glory. You are blessed by me. You are right from the beginning a lover of Lord Hari. Your fame will be so much that even the angels of the heavens will start singing the glory. And then leave everything. Mukta bandhaha. Come to me. I will embrace you and keep me with me. This is the point of view for you to live in this world. Never complain about suffering. Never complain about burden. दुनिया में क्या होगा? प्लेजर एंड डिस्प्लेजर होगा, दोनों तो होगा. उसमें क्या गलत है? बी वाइज, बी डिस्क्रीट, अंडरस्टैंड थिंग्स प्रॉपरली. भोगेन पुण्यम कुशलेन पापम कलेवरम कालजवेन हित्वा कीर्तिम विशुद्धाम सुरलोक गीताम विताय मामेष्यसि मुक्तबन्धः. This is the best point of view that I have seen. What a wonderful statement. My dear souls, these are the cultural gems, treasure of our land. Understand it very well. Imbibe it, imbibe it, imbibe it. Make an edifice of it. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta. Gocharam Tamagocharam. Gocharam Tamagocharam. Govindam Paramanandam. Govindam Paramanandam. Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. 320. Drishyam pratītam pravilāpayan san. Drishyam pratītam pravilāpayan san. Sanmātramananda ghanam vibhāvayan. Sanmātramananda ghanam vibhāvayan. Samāhitas san bahirantaram vā. Samāhitas san bahirantaram vā. Kālam nayethāsati karma bandhe. Kālam nayethāsati karma bandhe. We are having a lot of identity with the external objects of the world. The reason being that there are many, infinite number of objects, and all of them are gross in a way. By sthula or gross, what we mean is anything that is perceptible before the senses. All of them are considered sthula. Whatever is not perceptible to the senses is called sukshma. So the sukshma things can only be within the body, because anything outside the body is within the range of the senses. इतना आप समझ लेते हैं क्या? Now, because of the grossness of the objects, we feel that they are real and real and real. That is why I told you, things which have mass and weight We always say, this is something, it has got a mass, it has got a weight, it has got a size, it has got a measurement. Now, let us take the weight part of it. An item which weighs about 6 kilograms upon the earth, when you take the very same object to the moon, how much will it weigh? 1 kilogram. If you take it to the Shunya Akasha, the void, what will be its weight? So even within the object sphere, the weight itself is nullified. Is it something simple, or is it not something very serious? When we lift somebody, that person is very weighty when we lift a stone. But the same item, when you put it in water, it is less. When you take it to the air and finally go beyond the air, it has got no weight at all. If this is the truth, even within the object universe, what should be the truth with regard to the mind in the mind level? I am seeing all of you. Individually I can see, I can say how much is your body, what is the size, what is the color, shape. Sitting here I can say. That means I am experiencing all of you. This experience is inner or outer? So within the body, in the sphere of the mind, can all of you be seated with all your bulk and weight? Why don't you think about it? You can be seated within my body. Then what do you mean by yes? Maybe you said, why don't you think about it? Yes, we are thinking. So, see, if you, all of you cannot be seated within my body, then how is it that I say that you are there? Because my experience is always inner. That is why I am telling you one important factor. This is a great discovery of mine, that the mind being within the body, and it is different from the Panchabhutas. What? Panchabhutas are themselves of different grossness and pervasiveness. Solid earth, it will remain here. Water, it will flow on all the four sides. Air will go up. And space all pervading. Now our body is composed of or constituted by the Panchabhutas. The mind is different from the Panchabhutas. So do you agree that it has to be subtler than even space? In such a mind, which is very subtle, can there be a gross production? आप सोचते नहीं, सोचकर बोलिए ना. Within the subtle body, can there be a gross production? Now all the gross things of the universe are perceived and experienced within the mind. So the mind produces all of them. That production, is it a gross production or is it a subtle impression? If it is subtle impression alone, then the next question is, when the mind is full within the body, the impressions that the mind makes, does it take any extra space? No. Then what are these? When I see all of you with all your bulk size, color, shape, etc., my mind is giving me the impression. That impression in the mind can never be solid or gross. And in order to produce these impressions, the mind does not bring anything additional in the form of existence. Is my expression clear? Mind के अतिरिक्त कोई कुछ कभी नहीं बनता. If this principle you accept, if this fact you accept, all the world that you are perceiving within your mind, does it have an existence or it's only imaginary? Will you accept this proposition? This is why we have become sannyasins. We have become sannyasins only because we find the futility of everything. दुनिया नामक कोई कुछ नहीं है हमारे माइंड के अतिरिक्त या बाहर. जो कुछ अनुभव हो रहा है वो आंतरिक है मनोजन्य है। मानसिक स्तर पर कभी कोई कुछ सृष्टि कभी नहीं बनती। And our mind is the basis on which we say, here is a world, here is an expanse, here is this, here is that. If this principle you accept as the mind originates a number of objects and their impressions, the mind can also completely dissolve them. And that is what is happening every day in sleep. I have mentioned this earlier, now also I will mention it. You should understand that your life is not only based upon the wakefulness that you have. Wakefulness is only one of the three states we have. Maybe wakefulness is prevailing for about 16 or 17 hours of the day. But the day consists of 24 hours. So for about 7 or 8 hours, you are not wakeful. You are asleep. In fact, this sleep is the mother of the wakefulness. It is from sleep that you are waking. And from wakefulness, you go to sleep. And in sleep, what is happening? The entire wakefulness, as it emerged from sleep, it also goes into sleep and becomes nothing. Now you tell me whether the awareness, the consciousness, the mind, whether it has the power to evolve and generate the universe and also to dissolve it or not. Then why are you afraid of your thought? By producing a thought, nothing additional to the mind is ever taking place. And the mind cannot be afraid of itself. Can the mind be afraid of itself? So let it produce many thoughts. All these thoughts are not a speck different from the mind itself. So what is it that you are desiring? What product are you desiring? And what is it that you are afraid of? And what is it that you are competing with? If you judge matters on the basis of the mind, do you have any answer? See, this is a great philosophy. I call it philosophy of experientialism. What? Philosophy of experientialism. Experience is the proof for existence. Whatever exists, unless you experience, it is of no consequence to you. Suppose a close relative of yours has died somewhere in the corner of the globe and the news doesn't reach you. Has he died for you? Suppose you are asleep and a member of the house has delivered a baby, but you are asleep. Is the child born to you? When you wake up, you say, a child is there. So the whole process is evolving from within you, from the mind, and dissolving into the mind. Once you understand the real fact that mind alone gives rise to wakefulness, and wakefulness itself is an extension of the mind. How many times shall I say this? Wakefulness itself is an extension from the mind, of the mind. And the whole wakefulness, tell me whether it subsists on you or on something else. The entire wakefulness, where does it subsist? It subsists on your mind. The next point that I want to derive is, because mind is subtle, the subtle mind cannot produce a gross object at all. Suppose the mind is really producing gross objects. I see all of you. If my mind really produces all of you, they will be duplications. You will be there outside and my mind will produce parallelly all of you. Now which are you? The outside person or the inside person? Then my body will burst. Will it not? Why are you keeping quiet? Say yes or no. I see a huge rock. If the mind were to produce the rock in a gross manner within my body, Will not my body break? So we are perceiving the world and nothing happens to us by the perception. And the world is perceptionally and experientially there. It is on the basis of this knowledge. Mind you, this is a knowledge. This is a knowledge. This is a fact. This is an experience. If you are governed by experience and experience alone becomes knowledge, memory, then you have to honor this knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. 5 plus 3 will be 8 for everybody. So if we argue it up and present it before you, that this is a knowledge, it's a fact, it's an experience, you have to be governed by it. Once you start being governed by it, you become a spiritual seeker. And if the knowledge becomes true and identified with you, you become a knower. And you are free to do what you want. We had a saint, an Acharya called Vidyaranya. In spite of the fact that he was Vidyaranya, you can go into his story, he was called upon to rule the kingdom for a while. He did it and left it and went away. Don't think that we sannyasins cannot do anything. We can do everything. Up to the level of becoming a knower, there are shastras which come and tell you, you do this, you do that, proceed this way, that way, etc. Once a person has really become a knower of truth, the shastras simply keep away. All the shastras are born of them, made by them. So we have nothing to tell you. Yo yadichadi tasya tad. These are the words of the Upanishad. Whatever one desires, that he becomes, that's all. Whatever he desires or whatever he feels, that becomes, that follows. There are many instances to prove this proposition, but we need not go into it. I am not expecting all of you or many of you to become sannyasins. I shall be very happy if 2 or 3 become. Huh? Not more, 2 or 3, I am happy. So you need not be afraid of it. This knowledge shows the superiority of the subject over the object. That there is a subject, initially opposite to the object. Later on the subject gains supremacy and ultimately you find the subject alone is and the objects are its creations. See, initially we feel I am the body, nothing else is there. The next stage is I am the body and the soul. Please judge yourself. Here is a beautiful presentation. Dehohamityeva jadasya buddhi. Dehohamityeva jadasya buddhi. Dehe cha jive vidushastvaham dhi. Dehe cha jive vidushastvaham dhi. Viveka vijnanavato mahatmano. Viveka vijnanavato mahatmano. Brahmahamityeva madhis sadatmani. Brahmahamityeva madhis sadatmani. There are 3 kinds of people, 3 levels of people. The first level of people, they are all called Jada. Jada means what? They never recognize anything beyond matter and energy. We are living upon the earth. We are all earth's creations. We are all living beings. And there are a number of living beings, very different kinds of living beings. Our Shastras say 84 lakhs different kinds of creatures are there upon the earth. It is subject to verification for biologists and zoologists and the others. Now we are the human beings. Now if you keep away the living beings from the earth, what is left aside in the earth? You tell me. Is it not purely matter and energy? Now in the living beings, besides matter and besides energy, there is something. That is what makes them live. And what is the symptom of life? First of all, it gets born, then it grows, it reacts to external stimulus, it declines and finally perishes. So that reaction to external stimuli, this is one important criterion of life, one important symptom of life. Now the moment you feel that you are a living being, how can you say that I am the body? Can you say? चुप रहते हैं, क्यों बोलिए ना कुछ. हम तो सुनने वालों से उनको तो बोलते हैं. If you keep quiet, how can I proceed? See, as long as you are living, can you say I am only the body? No. Then why are you doubtful about the soul? People are asking for explanations. Can you show me the soul? No, soul cannot be shown. You are the soul. That is why you ask this question.